In today's video, we're going to onboard a Google Cloud account. It is different than AWS, but similar to Azure in that we're actually going to use a shell script to do the vast majority of the onboarding. Similar to both of those other two, however, you can also go through all these processes manually, so we'll take a peek at the documentation to see what you'd actually have to configure within the Google Cloud Console if you wanted to do all of these steps that the bash shell script is doing by hand. So let's hop over to the console and take a look. So again, what we're going to do is we're going to start out within the Multicloud Defense SaaS controller. If you take a look, again, we can go through several different, there's several ways to skin a cat, as they say. But I can click on Add Account here, or I could go back through the Setup Wizard and click this Connect Account. Again, both are going to take you to the same place, which is, again, a very similar looking wizard if you went through either of the two other onboarding videos. Very similar look and feel, just different constructs that we have to identify within Google Cloud. So very similar to Azure, the first thing that they have you do is open up a Google Cloud Platform shell. So if you haven't ever done that within Google, go into whatever project you're currently onboarding, because we do onboard within the scope of a project. You do have the ability to onboard a folder which can contain multiple projects, but if you do that, it's really just in like a read-only mode where you're only able to see the assets and inventory within that folder and subsequently those projects. Since we actually want to deploy some gateways and some infrastructure into this project, we're going to onboard the project itself. So I am within the project that I kind of want to use for these purposes. So this little terminal icon, again, very similar to Azure. If you click on that, it's going to activate a Cloud Shell for us. So we can see, we're within the scope of this project. So I'm going to go back over to Multicloud Defense and we'll just copy this script out. Go back to Google Cloud and we'll paste that in. So again, we're just going to kind of walk our way through this. Again, you can change if you want to, name the prefix for like the roles a little bit different. You can see this little -P flag here. That literally stands for dash prefix. You could look at this shell script, so you could actually just open this up. It'll take you to the GitHub page where that shell script is provided from. And you can see the different flags and stuff that we use here. So the one I'm specifically referencing right now is this -P, which is how we kind of prefix the service accounts that we create. So I could call this, just to kind of show everybody that it works, we could say Cisco MCD YT for YouTube demo. So I'm going to go ahead and click enter here. We will let this, it's going to ask us even though we're within the scope of this specific project. I will type in 5. You selected this project. Do you want to keep configuring? We'll say yes. It will go and enable the APIs that we actually need. So you'll see here the listing of APIs. If anything normally goes wrong, it's most likely going to be a permissions related issue to whatever account you're using to actually run this script with. So if you don't have appropriate permissions, it's going to flag this. And the APIs do take a little while to actually instantiate. So we will let this do its thing and I will speed it up outside during the video editing process. Okay, and we're back. We can see that the wizard has completed. Much like Azure, you can go back and kind of look at a lot of the things that it performed against that account during that process. But what we're really concerned with is everything below this box where it says information required to onboard this project. So I will go ahead and start copying out. I would, by default, I would copy all this information out and keep it, somewhere where we could keep it recorded for future proofing. So we'll call this YouTube GCP demo. I'll paste in the project ID. And again, we'll just play that little back and forth game. This client email is basically what we're going to be using from the controller to log into the system through the API. And then the private key. Copy all of that out, and I will be deleting this directly after this. Paste that in. Make sure there's nothing at the bottom. Sometimes there's something hiding. Looks good, so we'll click save. And it does look like it automatically onboarded. What we didn't see is that little like, hey, collecting the inventory screen that we saw with the other two accounts. That's because by default, there are no inventory enabled regions. So I'm going to go ahead and select this. Whatever regions you have, go ahead and just add them here. We don't want to get, kind of kicked back for, performing too many API queries. So we just kind of want the regions that we're going to be concerned with. So I'll say Central 1. We'll look at US East 1. Those will be kind of the only two we'll use. So we do see this here. I don't believe I have anything configured in this account right now. So what we're going to do, we actually go just to kind of validate that everything's working. We'll go over to inventory. I will go specifically to this YouTube GCP demo. Yeah, we can see just the default VPC is going to be in here. So let's go ahead and create a new VPC. We'll minimize this window. And I will create a new VPC here. Where is my... Thought I had this starred. Create button. PC. Just call this test subnet. Again, just creating something just to validate that the pub sub. So we do, we subscribe to the pub sub service within GCP, very similar to like Event Grid or CloudTrail within the other two providers we've used. So we should get notified that this has been created. So we'll do US Central 1. /16, and we'll click create. Forgot, you cannot use underscores. And we'll try that one more time. And we do see it provisioning. We'll take just a minute here. Okay. And we can see it has created now. So let's go back to Multicloud Defense. We'll just hit refresh here, and we do see it immediately shows up. So I know, from at least an inventory perspective and the pub sub API, we are getting notified. We are able to pull down inventory in near real time. So everything, it looks pretty good. I will also mention that we do have documentation around GCP. Again, just like the other two providers that we've already covered. There is the steps for this automated process through the setup with the Multicloud Defense Wizard. So you can go through this section, connect the cloud account, and we will see the GCP. So it does go through basically explaining what we're doing with that shell script. And it does have kind of it's not super readable, but it does tell you about that, hey, GCP does not automatically include all the regions that project's configured for. So go into manage inventory and add those regions. So that was kind of the last step of that onboarding process that we did. But if you want to go in and kind of see the nitty gritty around the different roles that we create within here, you can go into the account onboarding section. So it does talk about, hey, if you're trying to do all this manually, these are the things that you'll actually need. And then we go into a lot of the different roles and the permissions surrounding those roles, so you can look a little bit in a bit more detail around that. So again, if you have any questions, always try to reference that documentation. If you are interested in onboarding a folder, which could be a collection of projects within that folder, you can also onboard that, but again, it'd be in read-only mode. I will mention that if you want to do that, it has to be done using our Terraform provider. So we do have fully functioning Terraform provider. It's called Cisco MCD within HashiCorp's registry. So if you look under that, one of the resources will be the Cisco MCD cloud account. So if you scroll down to the GCP section, we do also mention that GCP folders can be onboarded in lieu of those projects, but they are essentially just used for asset and traffic discovery, and you can't actually automate infrastructure within any projects inside that folder. But again, it would just be much like you would onboard the project, except you're going to be using the name of the folder that you wish to onboard instead of the individual products themselves. As always, if you found this video useful, keep a keen eye on this channel, as we will be releasing more and more content around the deployment and uses of multi-cloud defense and how you can use it to protect your cloud infrastructure. Thank you for watching. We look forward to seeing you in the next video.